50 to 70% return to business relatively quickly. And then the later adopters that are still a little bit nervous about going out, it might take them another 3 to 6 months to get back out there. But the world wants to move forward. It's tired of being told we can't go out.
I know. Yeah, I'm going stir crazy myself. I haven't been on a plane since June, and we usually travel, as you know, you're the same. You travel, a couple times a month at minimum. So
Right.
one of the other things too, I was speaking to my financial planner yesterday. We have quarterly meetings where we balance the portfolio, trying to, no one has a crystal ball, but we're trying to think of, what's coming down the pike, what has happened, and the thing that led the markets in 2020, at least in my portfolio, was tech. I mean, if you took tech out of the S&P and the Dow, it would probably have been flat or even lose a few points.
Absolutely.
Do you see tech still strong going forward?
Yeah, I think particularly in the areas of software as a service, SaaS, and Internet of Things, augmented and artificial reality, augmented and virtual reality, I guess I should say, those, and then tech enablement as well. So what is the defensible IP that companies are able to acquire or develop within that will give them moat and advantage and from their competitors? That's all going to continue to be great. And we're seeing it. So we call it the COVID bump, right? So you had the COVID bump for the tech businesses and the COVID trough for the you got in-person businesses. And so I think what we'll see is a flattening out of that. But as you mentioned, what we saw was a lot of lasting changes will happen as a result of this, because we have had an increased rate of adoption, and more people who were late adopters became mid or current adopters for technology that they would not have otherwise embraced because they kind of had to. And so now, having done that, they're not going to be going back. For our events, for example, we are for some of the events, we are doing a hybridized, part virtual, part live experience. Some events that would be bad for, because it's good to have the people actually come out, and you don't want to disincentivize people coming out when you have, for example, an expo floor with 300 or 400 exhibitors. You want the people there matriculating through there and talking to the people. That just doesn't happen online. But as far as fulfillment, content delivery for meetings, for travel for our companies, I think that you're going to see less of a travel budget for that. More people going out because they want to go for fun. Less people being allowed by their bosses to spend money to go to places because they're like, well, just do a Zoom, right? Save us the money. And so I think that for acquisitions, we're doing like management interviews and things like that via Zooms now, which is awesome because I love not having to travel to places I don't want to go to talk to people. So so I think you'll see that across the board, that adoption is going to stick. A lot of people are going to continue to do that now because now they know how to work a Zoom, right? So it's okay.
So what do you see? You were you mentioned you were an attorney and had one of the most successful practices in San Diego. What do you see? And as you know, our customers are CPAs, enrolled agents, and attorneys in private practice, solo, the small firm practitioners. We have some large ones. But what do you see in the service related industry for this year and going forward? Are there any things that they need to be abreast of or be thinking about?
Yeah, I think two things. One would be, how do you embrace the technology that your customers have been forced to embrace? So are you able to deliver your services in a virtual environment as well as the physical environment? I don't ever really want to go to an attorney's office, and as because I practiced, and my practice was primarily tax and entrepreneur related, right? Tax and securities. Mm-hmm. And my old firm, my father, who is a CPA, worked for the Internal Revenue Service for years and years, and continues to this day to practice tax law. Even he, who's 87 years old, is getting on Zooms with customers instead of them having to fly out, or vice versa. And so I think being open to that's important. And then knowing that there are opportunities for your customers and clients that and threats from their competition that and your own, right? That you need to be on board with the evolution of how we're doing business, like you and I are interacting right now. And now you've got we've had data rooms for deals. You've got virtual portals for uploading all of your tax return tax documents and things like that. But those interfaces are horrible. I mean, they're really bad, most of them. So I think that if you can think about how do you humanize this otherwise somewhat unfriendly tech experience that we've got going on. I know that the last time that I added a new accounting type tax preparer, he sent me a link to this like 1982 DOS based portal to upload my documents to. It was so frustrating. It's like, that's the worst customer experience I could ever imagine, right? Maybe send me all those, just let me put all those in a box and send them to him, and he has somebody scan them in and they do the uploading. Cool, but yeah, I think that just that whole customer experience thing with tech friendliness, UI friendliness is going to be a really big deal. And also being aware of where are your customers. You and I were talking as we went on, there's a very, very hot new social app right now called Clubhouse. Clubhouse had 3,500 members at the beginning of 2020. It had 1 million at the end of 2020. I believe it's in the 3.5 million now. It will be hundreds of, and it just received, I think, $100 million from Andreessen Horowitz. So that, TikTok, Instagram, those are the places that people are going and continuing to going. YouTube, if you're not there, it's really important for you to be, even if it's not a lead generation source for you, and it can be, but even if it wasn't, the credibility of meeting your customers where they are and having them join a conversation that you're carrying on, or you're joining the conversation that they're carrying on the platforms where they are, for growth of practices, I think is going to be really, really important.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, what I've been teaching, and actually I did this when there was no COVID. I mean, in the last 8 years of my practice, when I was in the tax resolution business, I took all my consults over the phone. The client never had to come into the office. All the documents were faxed or scanned or emailed. But now with this technology, it's really nice to do a consultation on Zoom, because you can actually control the environment. You can control the consultation, especially if you have a keynote or a PowerPoint slide that you want to bring up. It's kind of difficult to do that in person. But when you're one-on-one like we are right now, I mean, 100% of their attention is devoted to the screen. So you can control the environment, which you can control the environment in like on live events. You can control the environment much better in a virtual than you can live, with people in the hallway, meeting vendors during presentations. I mean, what we did is we just shut the vendors off during presentations. So they had to concentrate on what was going on the main virtual stage, if you will.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. And I think even if you think about the rubber chicken dinner that people use sometimes to get people into their practice and things like that, where we're going to buy you dinner at Ruth's Chris, and then we're going to that kind of stuff. You can do that virtually as well now. And what's cool about that is using a technology like Zoom offers to do breakouts. You can basically take the people who are interested and break them out into rooms with your salespeople or your assistants to gather information or to make an appointment or whatever, right? That, like, not just broadcasting, but actually having interactive conversations and being aware of the things you can do. So if we host a thing and says, seven tax deductions that you're not taking that will save you $500, or $5,000 in taxes on your next tax return. If that's a thing that you hold and you get your audience in, now you're engaging with them. And as you said, you can have really good presentations, and building the studio like you did is advanced and very smart if you're capable and have the capital to do it. But even if you don't, just doing what I do from this little perch right here, last year, I started a brand new thing and generated $4 million in profits with an investment of $9,700 in my first bout of advertising, right?
Wow.
That's a $4 million in profit sitting on my little perch in my house, right, at this little bar. And so it's not like you have to have that. Now, we also did a giant event with 25,000 people in multiple stages in Austin and San Diego and a team of, broadcasters and everything else. But doing something, taking some action to move into this environment. And I think I imagine that you offer training like this. And if you don't, it's absolutely, to me, something that would make sense because you're already doing it. And the people that are watching and interacting with you should absolutely get on some sort of call with you and figure out how can they take what you're doing and apply it to their practices, because there's so much opportunity. I mean, we closed millions of dollars of sales over a 2-day period at an event with no one live, all virtual. We had a virtual sales team of about 25 people. We broke people out into a into a concierge room, because sales sounds too scary, right? A concierge room. And then the one person in the concierge room was basically just a facilitator to say, oh, okay, Michael, great. Let me get your information. Okay, I'm going to put you in a room with Joe right now. And then they hit the button and you go off, and now it's one-on-one with you and Joe can get your information, figure out how to serve you, close you, get the payment, run it online, and schedule your first appointment, right? That's powerful.
Yeah. Was that a digital marketer?
Yes. Yeah, that was with traffic and conversion. But we did it also with our 21 for 21 challenge, and with our Epic program on buying businesses, and with our digital marketing program on Elite. So, across the board, all of our products, we use that.
Got it. Wow. Yeah. Well, this has been amazing. Let's see what else. Let's talk about what are you seeing in terms of hospitality? You think that's going to come back big time too?
Yeah, no question. Your experience that you talked about at the Montage in Laguna is every experience of everyone that I talk to, even currently, that's traveling. And that was, for all of you that don't know, Michael will share with you, it was not a great experience, and something he'd been doing for, I think, 17 or 18 years.
Yeah.
He was like, now I'm not going to go back there. But that's happening everywhere. So what's going to happen is the hospitality industry is going to have to figure out how do they get back in the game and turn on the service again. And because if they don't, even if it's a hair lower, that business is going to go away, just like you. And I had the same experience. The places I'm like, yeah, I'm not going there anymore.
Yeah.
But what's cool about that is that means that people like you and me, and we're very frequent, high level travelers, willing to spend money for nice stuff. Right. That means we're out there available as wildcards to come to your business if you're a hospitality thing. So there's a huge opportunity, I think, across all businesses, including tax practices, right? For the people who weren't served well, who are going to be going back out, who are looking for, what, I deserve better. Or as long as I'm out here again, I want something new and different, right? So there's a big opportunity for us to grab market share by being aware of what's going on out there.
Yeah, and I mean, tax practices are notorious. Most of them are for not communicating with their clients. I mean, I talk to a lot of people all week long, and I tell them that, especially at year end, you need to send them a year end letter. Send them a year end letter with the tax changes, with regard to planning. Oh, but I don't do that. I said, you don't even send out one letter per year? No. So, a lot of them are living in the prehistoric ages. But I think with what we experienced this year, a lot of them are starting to make the change, are starting to pivot, are starting to communicate more with them, whether it's via email or Zoom or even physical direct mail. It's so important to stay in touch with your clientele, especially, I mean, we have a mantra, and, we run our firm by, under promising and over delivering, because you want your customer to feel special. You want to talk to them as an individual, not as a group. So we're constantly sending them things throughout the year as surprises, and they love it. They love it.
I think for you and all of your people who are listening to this, you guys should all message, write, email, call Michael and tell him that he needs to start a service where he just does that for you guys. because to me, that's very valuable. And the challenge is that most people don't do it. A few people do it, but they don't do it with the specific intentionality that they should, which is not only should you be communicating, but you should be communicating to start a conversation so that there will be an interaction that can lead to a sale, right? Because you will serve your customer better that way and you will make more money. So it's very win-win. But if you're just sending gifts, like if you're not doing anything, obviously that's horrible. If
Right.
you're just sending boring
Right.
information, that's horrible too. That's like, I don't care about that. I'm not going to look at that. But if you can breathe some personality into your
Yes.
communications, and then you say something that triggers an action for them to reach out to you, that starts a sales conversation.
Yep.
And that can be 2-3x the money that you're making right now.
Yeah. Thank goodness for my business partner and wife, Rosalind, because she does all of that.
She's amazing at that.
Yeah, yeah. If it was up to me, they'd probably get a brick in the mail. I mean, she she is the one who comes up with the ideas and the creativeness. I mean, when someone comes on board, within 2 weeks, they get a box with a blanket, a really nice blanket, and it says, "Hey, Michael's got you covered." Something like that. And then for tax season, right around April 15th or right before, we'll send them like an emergency kit for tax season with a bunch of food and stuff like that. So, and then we just sent them out a computer bag to put their laptop in. So, yeah, she's really, really good at that. I mean, so thank goodness there. But you're exactly right. I mean, the capital today, and in my opinion, I mean, yes, it's in your customer list, it's in your database. But if those customers, like the net promoter score, if those scores aren't like at the highest they could be, you really have no equity in that database, in my opinion. I mean, it's all about your customers.
Yeah, and that's, because I deal a lot with private equity and, sales of businesses, that is a key thing that buyers are looking at now, is that they want to know, are you measuring NPS? Are you measuring CSAT, customer satisfaction? And what's the trend in it? And what do you do with the information? But here's the cool thing is that stuff, not only does it tells you if you can be open to receiving the information, where you're falling short. And it can also tell you where are the little opportunity holes that you could really take control of and serve these customers better. And remember that an existing customer is worth 9 times more than a new customer, right? So somebody who's already bought from you that you can get to buy again, if you can increase the lifetime value of that customer, and your customer acquisition cost is 0 because you've not spent any more money to get them, right? So that's a place that, if they're not focused, it's really a missed opportunity.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've seen cost per acquisitions go through the roof online recently, especially with the way Facebook is operating and all those people. But yeah, the lifetime value is so important. It's so much. It's a lot of people concentrate on acquiring new clients, and they don't concentrate enough on the clients they already have. And to your point, I think that's really, really important. That's where the gold is. That's where the magic happens, is within the folks that are already in your tribe, believe in you. They've used your product or service. They've seen results, and they're waiting for more. Give me more, Michael. Give me more, Roland. I mean, your stuff works. What's the next thing?
And you get 1,000 customers, you get them to spend $1,000 more a year. I mean, that's a trip to a hotel. That's a trip to the Montage at Laguna.
Yep. This has been great. All right. Well, I know you're a busy guy and that you got to get off pretty soon. Hey, you have an unbelievable podcast. What's the name of that podcast? How do people find it?
Oh, thanks for mentioning that. It's called Business Lunch. It's on iTunes, in the Apple Store. It's on Spotify and all of the other places that you listen to podcasts. That's fantastic. It's thank you for sharing that. Yeah. And I'm available everywhere on all social media. I practice what I preach. So
and Clubhouse.
Basically YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, any of those places / Roland Frasier, ROLAND FRASIER. Will get you to me, and I answer all my messages, which you guys should too, on all your personal. Yeah,
that's one thing.
Get somebody to do your content for you. Get somebody to do your content for you, but answer your messages personally.
Yes.
because it makes all the difference.
Yeah, it does. It does. It does.
Speaking of YouTube, Michael, I wanted to mention, because you said Facebook a couple times. Are
Yep.
you advertising on YouTube currently?
We haven't been able to make it work. We've gone in, but we really haven't concentrated and focused our energies on it.
Okay, let me connect you with somebody. We'll do that when we get together,
Okay.
because we have YouTube's about half of our lead gen right now,
Oh,
and
wow.
we've really cracked the code on it and got some good resources. And so that's a place. Now we are, we're really seeing tremendous traction from that place in particular.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, we'll text you a couple of dates and times, and we'll get together.
Sounds
Um,
good.
any parting words for my audience?
What is the one thing that's the biggest challenge for your audience right now?
I think the biggest challenge is a lot of them. Okay, I think the fear of marketing. I think the fear of actually spending money on marketing, and the second biggest one is what do they do once they have the person on the phone? So,
Okay. So the two the person that I think would be best for helping with that fear would be John Asseroff. Do you know John?
I know the name.
Okay, so yeah, John is a good friend of mine. He was on The Secret, and he's
Okay.
one of the leading people out there in how do you communicate with your brain to get it to do the things you want to do. I'll connect you with him. I think that you should have an interview with him about how to get
Okay.
past that fear, and then I have a controversial person who I don't know if your audience would like or not, but he's one of the best at having the sales conversation that converts.
Okay.
And he does sales training. I will share his information with you. His name is
Okay.
JT Fox. He can be very polarizing.
Okay.
So I don't know if he would be good for your people or not. But there are a couple of other people that are very good with those sales conversations that I'd be happy to connect you with as well.
Okay. Great.
So let me help. Like let my parting words be me asking you, which everyone who's listening to this should have these as their parting words too. Is there anything I can do for you or your audience? So I just asked that, and now I will actually take the action the minute that we hang up here,
Okay.
and I will make that connection. If everybody that's watching or listening to this does that same thing, your business will go crazy through the roof.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to take massive action. You got to look. I always say when opportunity knocks, you got to get off your butt and open the door. I mean, you got to you got to do the work. The people who do the work are killing it. They're killing it out there. But
Yeah.
all right, Roland. Hey, this has been great. Thank you so much for your time today, and I'm sure that I will see you soon, and we'll speak real soon too. So thank you
Maybe we
so
can
much.
actually go out and have something out at a restaurant too.
I
Wouldn't that
know.
be neat?
LA opens up Friday. LA outdoor dining opens. They better have heat lamps because it's like 46 degrees this morning.
It is. It is cold. All right. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Roland. Okay, bye now. Hey, Michael Rosberg here, the Rosman, the tax resolution guy. Go check out my podcast, The Tax Resolution Success Show, on Apple or Google. Subscribe, or you can go to my website, rosstrategies.com, and go to the podcast page. It's a great show. Hope you subscribe. I'll see you there.